welcome back to another episode of Just Our Look podcast. I'm your host, Key, and today I am joined with Rachel. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Super excited.
Thanks for joining. So Rachel, who are you? Where do you live right now? What are you doing? How's life going?
Life is going pretty well for me, actually, right now. I'm living in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm.
I moved back in about late August, early September is when I got my first post-grad job. And so during the pandemic, I was living with my parents, and then I finally got the first job I took, and I left.
You're like, please.
And so
can't keep going.
I actually, yeah. No, definitely not. Could not stay any longer. I tried my best. But yeah, so a little bit more about me. So I'm here in DC. Right now I'm working as a counselor for kids with autism. And so we do something called ABA therapy. So it's a lot of like behavior changes and stuff like that. And I really like it. It's really nice. It's awesome to be working with people again. And seeing different faces a little bit, doing something in my field.
Your work is your socializing.
Kind of, yeah. My roommates are my friends from college, so that really helps.
Good.
But yeah, most of my socialization is with children.
Aren't they the best? Aren't they amazing?
So much fun. Very tiring, but lots of fun.
So where did you go to school? I mean, I know, but, what did you graduate with? Was that the same major you went in with?
No, so I went to American University, and when I went to school, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. Completely confused. I don't even know where I wanted to go to college. It was kind of all just based off gut decisions every single step of the way. And so when I went in, I was undecided, and I had a lot of interests. So my issue was that I liked a lot of stuff, and I didn't know what to pick. And I was kind of torn between. Yeah, I was like, well, I like this, but this could make me a lot of money, but this I'm actually good at, but this is something I'm passionate about. So it was like, what's the best decision? I have no idea. So for a while, I was just trying different things out. I was taking a lot of classes. I was interested in writing, so I was taking a lot of English classes. I was interested in psychology, so I was taking psych classes. I wanted to become fluent in Spanish. I was interested in international relations. I was interested in PreMed.
You wanted to do everything.
I wanted to do a lot. I was a bit of an overachiever, just like, I'll have a double major and 2 minors and super unrealistic goals.
No. You want to also have like a social life and time to breathe. So
yeah, and that's one thing that I didn't think about very much sometimes. I would be like, oh, I really want to try this, and you try this, and I would say, oh shit, I forgot. I need to hang out with my friends. I need to breathe a little bit.
I can't stare at this book all weekend.
No, exactly. I need to laugh and smile, basically. But eventually I decided on psychology.
Okay.
And that was that was the beginning of my sophomore year when I finally decided I had liked it in high school, and then I took a few more classes, and I was like, okay, I like this. It's really interesting, and I'm pretty good at it. So that's a nice combination. And I did that for a while, and then I started to think, well, maybe I should do something in addition to that. So then I picked up PreMed, and I did that for a while, and yeah, exactly. That's the right reaction. Yeah.
So PreMed is like your biology,
it wasn't my major, and at my school, it isn't a major. It's just a track that you do in addition to your major.
Okay.
And
so important classes to like get into med school. Okay.
Exactly. So there are like specific classes that are requirements for med school that you have to take on the pre-med track, and people usually will do biology or chemistry majors because those are included in the major, and so you're 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
But that was not my case, and that was not what I did, and I started super late. So I was taking a million classes of my major and then a million extra classes to catch up on pre-med, and then with pre-med comes like volunteer hours and research and all this craziness, and then I had to work to pay like bills.
Yeah, because you need a
right, I need to
survive.
Eat. Right, food, shelter, those kind of things. So it was crazy. And at first, in the beginning of pre-med classes, it's like Gen Chem and Bio. And so it's, you're still studying, but it's not the nitty-gritty intensity of pre-med. And once I got to that point and I was at the peak of my psych major and I was working multiple jobs, I got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I am working and I am surviving and working, but I haven't seen my family there was a point where I hadn't seen my family in 9 months. Like, I actually had not seen them, and I was missing holidays, and I was, like, working on the weekends, and I hadn't seen my friends. Maybe I saw them, like, every 2 weeks.
Right.
It was just too much.
Rise and grind was not for you.
It was my thing for a little bit, because I love structure. I'm really into structure. I like to be like, okay, so my week looks like I have to wake up at this time. I need to eat right so I can study well, so I can go to bed. All those things. But then I was just doing it for so long, like working over the summer. I couldn't handle it anymore.
When does it end? And that's the thing that's like really, like, you're working towards a goal, but at a certain point you're like, I need to see outside. Like, I need to breathe air. Also, like, this is fun, but when is it gonna end? Like, when you're, like, waiting towards, like, breaks, like fall break, spring break, and then you only have a week and you're like, wow, I need to go back and do this all over again.
Yeah, and the thing was, I wasn't even getting those breaks. Like, spring break, I stayed on campus because my job didn't allow me to leave. And so I wasn't even getting, like, a week of sleep. Yeah. And if I was getting a week off, I did get spring break where I didn't have to work. I had homework and tests right when I got back and all of this stuff. So it was really, there wasn't any break for maybe like a year and a half. I was just like grinding.
Oh my God. Ew.
And yeah, it was really not good. It was not good. And, it was like, I would just like lose little things of myself, like I like to be put together. I like to have like an outfit that represents me and just like, express myself. And that was not something that I could do. There wasn't enough time in the day to express myself. I had to throw on a hoodie, like throw my hair in a bun and get out the door so I could get to my 8 a.m. class before I had work.
And 8 a.m. classes? Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely not.
It was rough, and I made the mistake of moving very far off campus, and so I had about like a 45-minute commute.
True.
Also. So it just was like a lot.
What was like your breaking point where you were like, all right, pre-med track, that's okay. I'm happy.
Right. My breaking point, it was at the end of my junior year. It was that spring, and that was the hardest spring. That was the hardest semester I ever had. I was working in 2 different research labs. I was working a part-time job, and I was taking an overload of credits. So I was just like not breathing.
No.
And it came to the point where it was time for me to like kind of pick my classes and decide what I was doing in the summer and doing in the fall. And I had just like hit a point where I couldn't go home for spring break. I hadn't seen my friends. I kept saying no to all of these things. And I was just like, I am not living my life anymore. Yeah. There's no fun. And if I'm going to continue this pre-med track, that is going to be my life for so many years. For the next foreseeable future, I just like I have to commit to actually like being an amazing student and getting this done. Otherwise, I'm not going to succeed. Right. And I have to decide if that's what I want to do with my...
Yeah, because in Grey's Anatomy, their friends are the people in their residency program. And you have friends outside of school. So...
And I would like to keep it that way.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So that was like, there were many conversations with my mom just being like, I just don't know. I want to keep going, but I just can't. And I just came to the realization where I was like, I want to live my 20s. I want to enjoy my 20s. I want to experience things. I want to meet new people. I want to live my life. And that was when I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to med school, and I'm happy about that.
Good. Heck yeah.
Yes.
So senior year came, and you were like, wow, this is what at least fall semester of senior year.
Yeah, it was. I mean, fall semester was still a little rough for me because, like I said, I like to grind a little bit, and so I dropped pre-med, and then I took on other responsibilities.
You know, you're like, I have this but I can understand that because there's only like so much time I have to myself where I'm like, okay, I sat here and watched 5 hours worth of this show. I'm bored. Mm-hmm. I need something to do. I need to feel like I'm a productive person in some way. Yes. So I can understand that.
Exactly. And another thing that happened to me was my whole journey was very just like coincidence after coincidence. Mm-hmm. And so the lab that I was working in for pre-med, mm-hmm. It was a neuroscience lab. And I actually ended up loving it. Okay. And so I started to kind of turn into into neuroscience and that side of psychology. Mm-hmm. And so it all kind of just came together. And so I continued to work for that lab in the fall. And so that was why I was like super busy then, because I was just like, oh, I found another thing that I enjoy. I'm going to pursue this now. Okay. And so it was good that I started to figure out what I wanted, but it was also a really good lesson for me to learn that just because like I like so many things, I also have to learn how to prioritize myself mm-hmm. and actually like care for myself. Yeah. And that was not something that I was doing at all. It actually got to the point where I developed a really bad anxiety actually. And I got and I didn't realize that was what was happening, mm-hmm. but I started to get really bad stomach issues and I like couldn't keep anything down that wasn't plain.
So your stress was manifesting mm-hmm. into, oh my God, not food.
Yes, literally. And I used to be a stress eater. So every time I got stressed, I would like be downing delicious food. And then it got to the point where I couldn't eat a regular meal. So I was surviving on toast and pretzels and plain pasta for like 4 months. And eventually I was like, I lost 25 pounds. I have to go to the doctor.
Right. This isn't normal.
Right. Like this doesn't happen to everybody. Like my clothes don't fit. I want to gain my weight back, you know? And so I went to the doctor and he was like, no, like this is stress. And if you don't chill out, you're going to get an ulcer. And I was like,
literal stop. This is like the plot on a TV show, not freaking. Honestly, this might have been a plot in a Grey's Anatomy episode.
Yeah, probably. This is definitely
a stomach ulcer because you like to be busy.
Yeah. And I was just like, that was really the point where I was like, okay, someone is literally telling me to stop. Yeah. And that's when I was like, okay, yes, I had this realization that I want to enjoy my 20s, but I'm not doing it. No. I'm just taking on other shit. Yeah. And I actually need to, like, take something off my list. And he was like, you need to sit in this office and decide what you're taking off your list right now.
Oh, please, not pressure, please. I need
but it was good.
Pros and cons.
It was good for me because I needed someone to tell me to stop because like everyone else, like I was surrounded by overachievers and the people that I was confiding in about it were like, but like that's what you want, like you're grinding, you're working so hard, you're succeeding. And I was like, I needed someone to just be like straight up with me and say no.
Yeah, because in a normal circumstance, like those are your friends, your family encouraging you to like continue to do like what you're figuring out you want to do and stuff like that. But then also at the same time, it's like maybe I am still not doing the best.
No, exactly. And it was super validating coming from him because it was coming from a doctor. Right. And I was telling him about like my journey in pre-med. And he was like, oh, that happened to people with me in med school. So I know specifically to tell you, chill the fuck out. So it was great. It was really, I really appreciated it. Whoa. And it really turned around how I've approached my life since then, actually.
Yeah, you can literally be like, don't stress me out. I will get a stomach ulcer.
Right. Like,
and it will be your fault.
Yeah, like if I don't eat dinner tonight, it's on you.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And that's your problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so then also the pandemic happening, not to be those people who are like, the pandemic was a blessing. It's not. But also, you did get a hot minute.
I did. And honestly, like, I don't want to be that person, but I'm gonna be that person.
Yeah.
Because I truly live my life where like shit happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I really believe that, even though I maybe have no idea what that reason is. Like, there's something is gonna come out of it. Like, I'm gonna learn something at least. And that's exactly what happened, because my spring semester of senior year, that was going to be my semester of fun. I was only taking electives.
No!
I was taking easy classes. I lived with my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
I had an amazing friend group that I hung out with all the time. We had just gotten so close. It was like all set up to be perfect. And the first like month of school was amazing. It was incredible. I was having the best time ever. I was going to concerts. I was going out. I was going to new places. I was exploring DC. I loved it. And then
it's really funny because I always like tell my friends from home, like, I remember I came to visit you, and even we had gone out, and you were like, it's really not that much. Like, it was on a normal night, it was still like a normal crowd of people, but you're like, there's not a lot of people out. And then fast forward,
like a week later, it was like the world is shut down.
Right, school was like, okay, extending spring break. So there's that. And then also when spring break's over, we're just going to do like a week of like virtual learning, and then we'll come back. No worries.
Right. And then the world was crazy for the rest of time.
Right.
But yeah. It was good though. I mean, it wasn't good. I was super upset. I was really upset about it. And some of my friends were like, it didn't really bother them. Mm-hmm. But I was really upset because I was like, I literally planned to enjoy my life.
You spent over 2 years stressing yourself out. Mm-hmm. And then the moment you're like, okay, what is stress? We don't know her.
Right.
We're stressing about the state of the world.
Literally. Like, instead of stressing about my grades, I'm going to stress about a pandemic killing thousands of people.
Exactly. Like, this is nice. This is really good.
Right. The different kind of stress. Cool.
So was your school doing like, I guess, were they using Zoom? Like, our school's using Microsoft Teams and like Blackboard.
Okay, we used Zoom and Blackboard, so it just really depended on the professor and what they wanted to do.
And their technical abilities.
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm. It was interesting, though, for me specifically in the pandemic because I was working as an academic advisor for the College of Arts and Sciences. That was my part-time job. And so because it was so unprecedented and the administration had no idea what to do, my team was actually involved in a lot of communication with the dean to figure out how to manage like the first few weeks of the pandemic and whether or not we were going to allow students to be pass-fail, how the teachers were dealing with Zoom, if they were because the dean was asking questions like, are they giving extra homework? Are they being more lenient? Like those kind of really important questions that professors and administration have no access to answers to unless they ask students. Right. And so my team, it was all undergrads, and it was from people of different levels. You know, there were 3 seniors and 1 sophomore. And it was really interesting because the administration really took our feedback. And so a lot of students were allowed to go pass-fail, and they were allowed to change it up until like the last day of finals or something. Because
I don't know what it was for professors that are like, oh, we're online. We'll just double the amount of things we're doing.
Right. You're home. What else are you doing?
Right. You're home. What else is there to do except stare at this computer and educate yourself? But it's like, no.
Like, my whole world was turned upside down. I don't want to be doing homework
exactly.
Right now.
We're literally like watching something we've never experienced before unfold. People's families are being affected. I'm not graduating like I should. Like, please, save the papers. I don't need this.
Exactly. And some professors got the message, and they're like, okay, we're going to dial back. And some of them would just be like, try to take a break from your computer for a second for your mental health. But here are 1 million assignments, and here are 3 emails a day about what we're doing. And so it's just like, you know, the first time anybody does anything, it's all over the fucking place. And that's exactly what it was.
It was
disaster. Just crazy. Yeah, absolutely.
Good Lord. Okay, so we graduate, quote unquote, graduate.
In our living room, yeah.
In our living room. You know, if you had a cap and gown. Thankfully,
I did not.
I think by that point, they started sending our cap and gowns, like, to our house.
Oh,
if
they
we
did?
told them to, yeah.
Okay, yeah. For us, like, it was supposed to be the week after spring break was this fair where you sign up for your cap and gown. So unless you ordered it yourself earlier, you didn't get it.
So you still don't have a cap and gown?
I don't have a cap. I never got a cap. I never wore it. Never took any pictures. No, nothing.
Did your degree come in the mail?
Yes,
okay.
My degree did come in the mail, and my mom was like trying her best to make the best out of it, and so she like got a really nice frame, and she was like, "Let's put it up somewhere." She wanted to get banners. She was like, "I want to do whatever we can to make it special," and I was like, "No,
please,
I don't want to do anything,
right?
Nothing. I don't want to acknowledge this." I was like, I'm gonna wait until the pandemic's over in like December.
Right. Oh yeah,
and that's when I'm gonna celebrate.
Exactly. We'll just give it like to the fall, to the winter, and then everything's gonna be fine. Everything's back to normal. And that's really wishful thinking.
Right. I was an optimist for sure about that one. I was like, I don't want to have a half-ass celebration. Like, I'm gonna celebrate because me and my friends had like such big plans for graduation.
Right.
Like, we were gonna throw this massive party and do all of these things and just like celebrate. I was supposed to go to Colombia with my best friend for a few weeks and travel and go backpacking. All of that canceled. So I was like, I just got so upset. And then right after I graduated, I had to drive back to DC to move out of my apartment.
Even better. So. Happy vibes.
So many. Those 2 weeks. I was just crying, and there were a lot of people who were like having parties for their graduation, socially distanced things or like whatever. And I was like, why is everyone so happy on Instagram? Oh my God, I'm crying. Why is everyone smiling?
No.
I mean, everyone was probably upset. It's just the nature of social media. You see. Right. You see the happy parts. You don't see everyone sobbing.
Right. And that's the thing, especially like if you didn't. So I always compare like to finance people in the finance world who like know they have a job freaking come like November, December. But like, especially for if you didn't know you were getting a job or like you were in the middle of interviewing and nothing, and then it was silence. Like, I don't want to be happy right now because A, I'm not graduating. B, the world is ending. And C, I'm about to have a degree. And what am I doing with it?
Right. And I live with my parents now.
And I live with my parents. And my parents are definitely the type that were like, what's wrong with staying home? Everything's fine. This is a good time. And I'm like, yes, could this living situation be a lot worse? Absolutely. However, you're driving me nuts.
Right, leave me alone.
My door's closed for a reason.
Right, keep it that way.
If I wanted to hang out, I would find you.
Right.
Please. And anytime, and then especially like you want to go to Target to feel alive for like 5 seconds. Yes. And it's like, where's the mask, the hand sanitizer? You're like, please.
Right. It's like, I don't want to have to think about a million things and risk my life to like feel something again.
Right. And then I always forget we had curfews. I mean, if you followed them.
Right.
My parents were definitely like, you need to be home before 8 o'clock. You'll get pulled over and then you'll get a ticket. I'm like, I don't think so, but sure, to please you.
I guess so.
Because I still live at home. Yes,
right, sure. Exactly. There's nothing else you could do. You're like, I guess this is your house, so fuck me.
I will abide for now.
Right.
So you changed. So you're officially psychology. The world is ending. And was grad school like ever a thought or an option for you?
Always a thought, but I always wanted to take time after I graduated. I wanted some experience working in the field. I wanted to try a few things out before I spent more money.
That is the key right there. More money.
Exactly. If that wasn't an issue, I'd probably be doing a lot of stuff. But gotta plan a little bit. But yeah, I am not a big planner, and so my spring senior year, when a lot of people are like freaking out, like I need to have a job at the end of graduation, that wasn't my perspective at all. So I was applying to jobs slowly and taking my time because of all of the stress I had gone through before. I was like, I'm not about to find something else to freak out about. So I applied to a few jobs, but then once the pandemic hit, that kind of all went on pause. And I was like, I'm just going to focus on passing my classes and having a good GPA.
Surviving.
Right, yeah, like bare minimum type of thing. So I really wasn't thinking about jobs or grad school at that point. I was just like really taking it day by day and trying not to freak out. My situation was very weird where the day after I graduated, I did start a new job.
Okay. Was it remote considered?
No, it was in person. It was actually I did my parents a favor because my dad had someone quit on them randomly. And it was like due to the pandemic, and he needed someone to fill in right away. And so he like had asked me, he said, would you please like fill in and be my receptionist for a little bit? And so right after I graduated, the first thing Monday morning was I went to work for my dad.
Okay. So it was like school's over. I could sit at home and stare at the paint dry, on the wall. Right. Or
I could earn a little bit of money.
Right. Feel a little bit alive.
Right. Yeah. You would think. I love my parents so much. I hated working for them so much.
I would imagine that's a completely different atmosphere.
It's a different atmosphere. I am not interested in law.
Oh,
that's not my vibe. All of the jobs I've had, all of the offices I've worked in have been very like high energy, like we're going to have fun. We're going to chat for 45 minutes at our desks. Like we're going to like leave early together. We're going to do a lot. That was not the vibe at a law firm. So I was just like, I need to get out of here. I can't do this. I love my parents, but I can't wake up with them, go to work with them, eat lunch with them, answer their phones and transfer the calls to them, and then go home and have dinner with them and do this with them. It was too much.
You're seeing them at all times.
Yeah, and they're seeing me at all times, and it was not fun.
For the sake of our relationship, I think it's best if like we just not keep doing this.
Yes.
Preferably.
Yes. Exactly. My only saving grace was that my best friend actually lives one town over from me, and we went to college together, and so we were like dealing with the pandemic together. And so I had friends that I would socially distance hang out with, and they would come over, and maybe we would like play lacrosse from like far away, or like go on walks 6 feet apart and that kind of thing. And so that honestly was the only thing that really got me through. Otherwise, I don't really know.
Otherwise, you were back sitting in the room with your parents, getting ready to go to work with them the next day. No. Okay. So, beginning of spring, summer, we're working with the parents. How long did it last before you were like, all right, let me start applying to something that isn't this?
So right away, like the first week, because I was a receptionist, and so there wasn't a ton of work for me to do, so I was able to work on job applications while I was there, which was really, really nice. That was like really nice of them to let me do that. And so I was constantly applying to jobs. But I didn't get my first job until August.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't hear back from anybody. I didn't get anything. A lot of the jobs I was applying to are research-based jobs, and because of the pandemic, some of them weren't even happening anymore, and so it was kind of like a hard market to get into. So I was applying to really anything that would let me in, and I got to a certain point where, literally, like, please, a certain point where I told my parents, I was like, I need to not work for you guys and just, like, full-time apply to jobs so I can get out of here. And my parents are kind of strict, and so they were like, no. They're like, you either have a job, like, you're not allowed to live here if you don't have a job.
Oh, well, right. I mean, that...
So, which is... it's fair.
Right.
And I'd rather it be that way than any other way. But in the moment,
you were
I was
brave enough to voice how you really felt.
Yeah, I tried it. I tried it. But yeah, they were like, if you get a job in Jersey, that's fine. You can do that and live here. They're like, but we're not driving you anywhere either. So that means that you're gonna have to get your own car, and you don't have money to do that. So you need to get a job somewhere and figure out how you're going to pay for everything yourself, or you're going to work for us until that works out for you.
Lovely set of options.
Right.
In
I had a
pandemic.
lot of
Especially if like you like in your head you're hyping yourself up. You're like, yes, I think what I'm about to say makes so much sense, and I'm going to convey it with so much passion. Yes. And then you're just like, no.
Yeah, they're like, that's dumb. No, don't do that.
Why would you think that?
Like, silly little girl. No.
Right. So when you were applying to stuff, because you had lived in DC and like the DC area, were you looking to like go back over there and looking at New Jersey stuff, or?
I wasn't looking at New Jersey stuff at all. I didn't want to be in Jersey. I really wanted to go back to a city. Mm-hmm. My goal had always been to transition into New York. Mm-hmm. A lot of the research that I want to work in is happening in New York.
Oh,
so it's just a natural progression. But I was also interested in DC because my friends are here. I like it here. Yeah. I'm comfortable here. I have a lot of connections here from jobs that I've had in the past. So I was applying mostly to New York and DC, some California jobs also. And so when I had that conversation with my parents and they said no, I kind of got into brainstorming mode of how the fuck am I getting out of here?
Yeah.
And so my best friend, who I lived with in college, she got a job at a law firm that she had interned with senior year. And so she was leaving. And that was my fuck, I can't be here alone moment.
Oh, yeah.
And so,
oh, no.
Yeah, so I came to my parents and I said, Steph is leaving, and I am also going to leave. And I told them, I'm going to go down to, I need a week off from work, or it wasn't even a week. I think it was like 3 days. I need like 3 days off from work. I'm going to take the train to DC. I'm going to go to a million restaurants and hand in my resume. And I'm going to work as a waitress and a hostess and scrape and like make do with what I can make and live with my friends in DC because I can't be here anymore.
Right. Oh, yes. Because same, because so had been home since March, and eventually I was like, I ideally would love to like be in Manhattan right now, but the world is ending. Who am I moving in with? I'm saving all this money, but also I technically don't have a job yet. Like my big girl, this is where I want to be for right now job. So I was like, I mean, is this a good idea? Probably not, but let's call it manifesting. I have the money to move out, so I'm going to do that. I think this is going to work for everyone. And we're just going to cross our fingers and wait till I get a job. And as long as I can pay these bills, don't worry about it.
Exactly. And that was exactly what I had said to my parents. And I had said, because my mom is like, she worries and everything. And I had like planned out what I was going to say. I practiced it with my friends. And luckily, when I made that decision, one of my friends, two of her roommates had moved out. And so my best friend, Steph, was going to move into the apartment, and there was an open room. And my friend said, it's yours if you want it. And I was like, well, this is all working out to...
Once again, everything is happening for a reason. Why would this not? Yes.
Right. And so, like, I told my mom, I was like, there's a spot for me. It's cheap rent. People I trust. People I like. I'm going to get a job as a waitress, and I'm going to try my best to make it work. And if it doesn't work and I have to move back, that'll be that. But I'm going to try.
Yeah.
And... I'm still surprised to this day that they were on board with it.
Oh, yeah. Because, and I think that's the weird thing, too, about, like, becoming a real adult is, like, we've gone so long with, like, having to need our parents to say yes or no. And then, like, technically, we're in this place in our lives where they don't Like,
right.
Like, your opinion is nice if I ask for it, and usually, like,
right.
sometimes I might not, and you'll still tell me anyway. But also,
right.
at the end of the day, like,
you can't stop me.
I can do whatever I want.
Literally. And that was the thing. And I was, like, very worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried about, because my parents are not shy to tell me what they think.
Oh,
because they want me to have all the information, is how they would phrase it. And so I was, like, prepared to, like, if they were like, we don't want you to do that, that's not good for your career or whatever, I was, like, prepared to be like, well, I have saved some money, and so if you don't want to support me in this decision, if you don't want to help me move, I have enough money and I have friends that will help me. I'm doing it with or without you.
Right.
But thankfully it didn't come to that point where I had to do that. But that was, like, my contingency plan, to be like, well, that's fine that that's fine that you think this is a bad idea, but it's happening anyway. So,
right.
You know.
So moving on. Thanks.
Yeah. So it was really weird, actually, because I went to DC for 3 days. I got 2 different waitressing jobs, and so I was going to work at both places. And so I was like, okay, I'm set. I'm moving on this day. The week that I was supposed to move, I got an interview for a lab tech job. And so I did the interview, and then the next that night, I think I did the interview at maybe 3 p.m. That night at, like, 8 o'clock, I was shopping for, like, bedspread stuff, and I get the email that I got the job.
You're like, well, you must have really liked me.
Right, I was like, oh, okay, shit, I have a real job now. Oh my God. And they were like, can you start next week? And I was like, well, I am moving this week, so fuck yes, I can.
So yes, look at this timing.
It was crazy timing. It was wild. And truly, everything that has happened since the pandemic has set me up for other stuff that has happened to me in the pandemic. It's been crazy how it happened. Because for my job, I was hired in this lab tech. It was for a COVID testing lab.
Okay.
And so they needed people to work the graveyard shift. And
a graveyard shift would be like midnight, like to okay,
midnight to like 7 or 8 or something like that. So, and it's like in a far part of town, and so I would need a car because, like, the metro doesn't run that late, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so that week, in addition to, like, packing up all my stuff, buying, like, stuff for my bedroom, I needed to also lease a car.
Yeah. Just add on to, like, the running list, you know, Target, the grocery store, the car dealership.
You know.
Yeah.
Little
casual
things. Right. So I did that. And then I got my car. The day before I left, I had to take it back to the dealership because it was broken.
That's nice.
Spent the whole day at the dealership, then packed the whole night, and then left for DC Saturday morning. And that all happened within, like, 4 days.
Good Lord.
Yeah. It was a lot.
Honestly, like, what a great time to be to freaking get a lab job doing COVID tests.
I know.
Because, like, all we're doing right now is testing people.
Exactly. I was like, and it was great. It paid well. There were, like, perks. I was like, this is... what good karma did I get?
Right. Waitressing who?
Right.
Here we are. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I was like that, and that was the only reason I could get the car, because I was like, damn, they're gonna pay me pretty well. Like, I can actually afford to do this now. Like, I can afford to live.
A bill.
This
yeah.
Good, right? Bill too. Like, no, stress, not me.
We already dealt with her. Moving on.
Right. Been there, done that. No more.
The future is bright.
So I was so excited. You know, it was good. And I worked that job for about 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
A nice time.
Oh, what? Yeah.
So was it temporary or?
No, It was not temporary. It was supposed to be temporary. I actually loved it for a while. When I got there, it was all people who had just graduated or were still in school.
Okay.
and some people were in my field, some people were, just like looking for any job. And it was a lot of AU kids, which is where I went to school, and GW kids, which I know a lot of people at that school because it's very close, and a lot of Howard kids also. And so it was really nice, and it was a lot of fun. It was like going to school every day, and you get to hang out with people your age that you have a lot in common with, and then you like work. And working in a COVID lab, you're doing a lot of repetitive stuff. It's just the same thing over and over again. And so all you do really is chat with each other and hang out and listen to music. So it was really nice.
Wow.
I really liked it. And we got tested every single day. And so like
they tickled your brain every day?
So the company I worked for actually, like, it was a mouth swab.
Oh,
it wasn't. God. Yeah. So it was super easy. You just swab in your mouth, you throw it in the tube, and you're done. And it was awesome. I really, really liked it, and I made so many friends. And I'm still friends with them after I left. We're all really good friends. We hang out, like, we'll go to like dinner or just like sit in our apartment or whatever.
Yeah. So what made you leave?
So what made me leave is the thing about COVID testing is like it ebbs and flows, it really depends on how many people are getting tested, how much work you have to do. And so throughout the time that I was there were times where we were super busy. There's lots of overtime, we're getting like hundreds of thousands of samples. And then there are other times where that's not the case. And we're not getting a lot of samples.
You're twiddling your fingers. We're
twiddling our fingers, and that is sometimes getting sent home.
Right. 'Cause,
and not getting paid.
Let's not waste our time and money.
Yeah. And it just became very, very stressful, where it was either we have to work overtime all the time and like punch out these productivity numbers constantly, or we are getting sent home and not making enough money.
Right.
And so it was just like a lot of back and forth, where I got to a point where I was like, this is too stressful. I need to move on. Yeah.
I don't want to sit here like every week and calculate my hours and how much I get paid and then figure out if, I'm going to have enough money to like have a little fun.
Right. Exactly. And it was a hard decision because I really, like I said, I made a lot of really great friends. Everybody there was super awesome and amazing. And I didn't want to let that go because I missed my fun semester. And so that was the closest thing to fun I got in a long time.
Working in a COVID lab, besties. No, work family does make life more fun.
It really does, and we really lucked out. There were a lot of times where we'd just be like playing music on the speaker, and people like would take like dance breaks and stuff. So it was a really nice environment for a long time. But I think I did make the right decision in the end, where I'm at a new job now where I'm like counseling kids with autism, and that's another facet of like my career that I want to explore. And so it's good that I'm getting counseling experience in addition to the lab experience that I've gotten.
Your
so I'm really happy.
Resume is just so diverse.
Yeah, it really is. That's what I'm saying. I have so many interests.
When you go to your next job, they're going to be like, okay, so tell me about the time you were in the COVID lab, but also tell me about the time you're doing research with neuroscience. Like,
just a lot, yeah.
Rachel, you listen, science woman. Oh my gosh.
Right? A woman in STEM.
A woman in STEM. They need to make you an infographic on Instagram.
They should. They should make me a cartoon.
Your school needs to do alumni spotlights, and you're going to be on it.
Oh, thank you.
So you're happy right now doing your counseling and everything?
I am. I think it's awesome. I love it a lot, and it's teaching me a lot about. I worked as an academic advisor, but that's a very different type of counseling, and this is a much more independent type of counseling, where I run the show kind of thing. I have a boss that supervises me and tells me what to do, but in our sessions, I'm the one running it.
So is it more of like a nonprofit org that you work with, and then you go out and you see like different kids, or?
No, it's not a nonprofit. So the way that it's usually, so people will get evaluated, and if it turns out that they do have autism and they want to pursue this form of therapy, there's a lot of different companies that offer this type of therapy.
Gotcha.
And so a lot of people do it through their insurance company to receive this type of therapy. It really just depends. But no, it's not a nonprofit. So that's
and
kind of the way that.
There's acronyms. What was it?
Oh, ABA.
ABA.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Something behavioral
analysis. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I know things. I did take AP psychology. Don't know what I got on my AP test. I lost my login. So there's that. Love that.
That's all right.
So, I mean, honestly, the way it's like working with kids with autism, working in neuroscience, like, we're all very, like, see, this is the thing, too, about, I feel like a lot of the times people in college don't tell you, like, how to finesse your resume, but, like, you can really make a good story out of, like, these experiences.
Yes.
What is it? I'm not sure. Couldn't tell you. But you can.
There's always a common denominator.
Exactly. You know, something about the brain and behaviors.
Right. And psychology and, you know... adolescence.
That's always a nice word.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot... There are things that you could tie into it.
Yes.
For sure.
1 + 1 = 2.
Right. There you go. And that's always been something that, like, especially in my field, with, like, science and what I want to pursue in grad school, is something that's always kind of been in the back of my mind through, like, mentors that have told me this and, like, drilled it into me that, like, just make sure that you are able to show that you kind of have a theme.
And especially if you like it, like, anybody can talk about something they like.
Right.
So then it's even better. Wow. Look at everything happens for a reason.
Yes, it really does. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. You truly can't.
Honestly, what's next for you, Rachel? Who knows?
Who knows? Exactly. Who knows? My plan, which, you know, always subject to change, never has gone according to plan, but my plan is I'm going to work in this position for about 6 months. That is the contract that I signed up for, always available to re-up, but I really want to work in research. That's my end goal, because I want to work in a research lab before I apply to grad school.
Yeah.
And so my short-term plan is work this job, in about a month or so, start applying for research positions, and hopefully when the 6-month mark comes, I have something lined
will
up.
Be there.
Yeah.
And then you'll be in all your grad school interviews and classes like, oh yeah, when I was in the field.
Exactly. Do a little flex.
You know,
in my experience,
you know, having time between school and now, I think a nice flex. You just gotta, and like, we're always so, like, we've been in school all of our lives. It would also be nice to have a break. Exactly. At least, like, that's always been my thinking, is I want to do a 2-year break. I think, like, just to see what life is like, how I feel about being outside of school, how I approach life, because it's very different. It's so different. Yeah. Like, the way that I lived my life when I was in school, I always had that structure of, I need to do this, I need to do that. I have class, I have work, I have this. Now I have class, and I have work and I have free time, and that's it. That is, since having, like, a real, like, big girl job, like, anything after, like, 7 o'clock, I'm like, I can do whatever I want until I go to sleep. I don't like. What is this world that we live in? It's a lot. It's a lot of more decisions. And if it wasn't a pandemic, honestly, I'd be living it. Exactly. I'm really. I'm using this time, you know, be responsible, save money, blah blah blah. But like, if it wasn't a pandemic, I would be just out in the streets all the time because I can. Because we have time.
Because you should. That's what your 20s are for. I truly believe that.
Exactly.
Your 20s are to live your life, explore.
We didn't watch, every rom-com, freaking sitcom TV show to not experience this ourselves. So
exactly. I've been fantasizing about it for about 23 years now.
Right. In the moment we're like tasting freedom, it gets snatched away. No, I refuse.
Oh, I'll be there when we're free. I will be out there.
Even, like, just the idea of being half vaccinated, I'm like, not that I'm trying to risk my life or anyone else's. But do I feel slightly free? Yes. Yes, I do.
It is a freeing feeling. Being vaccinated, it's a nice feeling.
And it's like, please, this is just what we need. I mean, I would like to be, like Australians and back to having concerts and not knowing what a mask is.
I know, so jealous. Every time I leave my house, I'm like, oh, fuck my mask.
Exactly. Like,
every time.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, please don't think I'm an anti-masker. I respect these rules. Trust me.
I know, I'm just absent-minded as fuck.
Exactly. And then I also, like, right now, you're not going to catch me at a gym with a mask on. Can it be done? Yes. Do I want to know what it's like? No.
Right. By me? No thanks.
No. I need the oxygen to hit my nose immediately, or I will die. Yeah, I just don't know about that. I'm okay. I don't need to be fit right now. Right. We'll take these walks.
Right.
I'll go on a hike.
Yeah, I'll do some jumping jacks.
Go on YouTube and find some yoga to do.
Yes, for sure.
And until then, I'll be fine. We'll find a way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Rachel, this was an amazing conversation.
Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you.
Wow, this is good. This is good stuff. I'm very happy.
Thank you.
Wow. Your life is just so interesting. I mean, everyone's lives is, but like, this is really the first time where like you see how everything is happening in the way that it should. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, is it just me or is the universe on my side? I don't know.
Oh, yes.
I think so.
I've been feeling that way lately. That's what I'm saying. Like, I've really been like, what karma is coming back to me right now? Like, who is looking out for me? Because
all the numbers.
Right.
The 333s.
My crystals are working.
The crystals are working. Honestly, that's what I'm naming this episode.
Perfect.
It is. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and talking about yourself. Loved this.
Thanks for having me.
And you have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.